Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel, Calm with Carlin, yoga and meditation for your everyday life. Today we have a yoga for lower body strength class. So we're going to be moving through our typical yoga postures, adding in a little bit of heat for the lower body, the glutes, the calves, the legs, the hips. And we're going to, at the end, make sure we cool down with lots of lower body stretches. So whenever you're ready, we're going to get started in a child's pose, and I'll see you there. Find a wide-legged child's pose so the knees are wide, the toes come to touch, the arms reach out long in front of you, and just rest the forehead down on the mat beneath you. Coming into this child's pose just to get grounded down and to start to gently open up through the hips. If you feel like getting a little bit more opening in your shoulders as well, maybe you start to walk your fingertips even further out in front of you. Maybe you even come on to the pads of the fingers so that the forearms and the wrists lift off of the ground. We'll take about 5 breaths here, coming into this space, maybe setting an intention for class if that's a part of your practice. Let's take one more breath together here. Take a big inhale through the nose. Fill up the belly as it falls down towards the ground. Hold the breath, pause for just a second. And as you exhale, let the breath go out the mouth, pulling the belly button in towards the spine. When you're ready, blink the eyes open and start to make your way to a tabletop position, stacking your wrists underneath your shoulders and your knees underneath your hips. Just take a minute to wag the tail side to side, taking the hips left and right. Maybe as you take the hips right, you gaze past your left shoulder, and as you take the hips left, you gaze past your right shoulder. If you'd like here, you can find a couple rounds of cat-cow, dropping the belly, lifting the gaze, and then tucking the chin, rounding through the spine. Whatever movement really feels good here. I always like to warm up my spine before any class, no matter what I'm doing. So cat, getting that flexion and extension of the spine. Just a couple more rounds wherever you are, even if you're just wagging the tail or taking some hip circles. And then at the end of the next round, we'll come back to a neutral tabletop position. And from this neutral tabletop position, I want you to press down really strong into the right hand because we're going to shift some weight into the left side as we lift the right leg. So I want to make sure we're still equal. We want to be pressing down really firmly through the right hand. And then flex the right foot and start to take the right foot up to the sky as if you could stamp it. So notice if your weight started to shift over to the left, and keep pressing down into that right hand to stabilize and have equal weight in the hands. And then from here, we'll start to fire up through the glute by just pulsing the foot up to the sky. Squeeze the glute as you pulse. You'll start to feel some heat here pretty much immediately. Just tiny pulses for 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Take the right knee back in line with the left knee, but let it hover above the ground. And then take that right leg out to the right side like a dog peeing on a fire hydrant. And we'll pulse from here for 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Back through center, stamp the right leg back up to the sky one more time, pulsing for 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, on 1, lift the right leg a little bit higher up to the sky, and then step the right foot to the outside of the right hand. We're in a shortened variation of our lizard pose here. Just take some gentle circles with the right hip, the right knee, gently lubricating through that right hip joint. And then after a couple circles in a clockwise direction, just take those circles counterclockwise, moving in the opposite direction. And then when you're ready, start to bring the right hand to the outside of the right foot and heel toe that right foot to center, coming up into a low lunge for just a couple breaths. Start to feel that left hip flexor stretch out. And if you'd like, we'll be coming into this variation later in class. You can get used to it with more support by taking the right heel off of the ground. Notice how that fires up the calf, and just take 2 breaths here. At the bottom of the second exhale, bring the right heel back down to the ground. Take the fingertips to frame the right foot, and we'll just find a gentle half forward fold, half split. So take the left foot back a couple inches, and then straighten that right leg. And as you bring the hands back, take an inhale, look past the right toes. And on your exhale, just gently start to fold forward. You might have a bend in the right knee. Everyone should have a tiny micro bend in the right knee, but if you're feeling tight in the hamstring, maybe you make that bend even bigger. Getting some release in the low back. Just taking 2 more breaths here. Beautiful. And then slowly start to walk the fingertips forward. Bring that left knee back underneath the left hip. Plant the hands and step the right knee back towards the left. And we'll take that on the other side. So once you feel nice and strong in your tabletop position, press firmly down into the left hand, flex the left toes, and press that left foot almost as if you could tap the ceiling above you. And we'll just take those tiny pulses here, really small, firing up through the center glute for 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, on 1, hold for a minute, and then take it back down to the ground. Let the left knee hover in line with the right knee, and take it out like you're a dog peeing on a fire hydrant. And we pulse here for 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Beautiful. Give the outer glute a rest. Come back. Bring the left foot up to the sky once more. And we pulse again for just 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, on 1, lift the left foot a little bit higher to the sky, and then step the left foot to the outside of the left hand. We're in our shortened variation of our lizard pose, and start to make some circles. I naturally go counterclockwise when I'm on the left side, but just notice what direction you're going in so we can reverse in just a couple breaths. All right, start to take your circles in the opposite direction. Lubricating through that hip joint. Breath is strong throughout practice today as we build heat. And then come back through center. Take the left hand to the outside of the left foot and heel toe that left foot towards the center of the mat. Take an inhale, lift it up into your low lunge. Just a couple breaths here. Feels so nice in the right hip flexor, lengthening there. And again, if you want to prepare for later in class, you might take that variation pressing into the left toes, lifting the left heel off of the ground. Feel that calf start to fire up. It'll be even more intense when we come back to it later. Just take 1 more breath here. And at the bottom of the exhale, bring the left heel down. Start to take the fingertips to frame the left foot. Press the right foot and the right knee back just a couple inches to give yourself space to straighten through that left leg as you walk the hands back, finding your half split. Take an inhale, look forward, gaze past the left toes, and on your exhale, fold. Remember that everyone has a micro bend in the left knee, but if you're feeling super tight in the hamstring, you might make that a bigger bend, getting some relief in your low back, a little bit of relief in your hamstrings as we're not quite ready for a full hamstring stretch yet. And take one more breath here. Beautiful. And then when you're ready, start to crawl the hands forward, bending back into the left knee. And then this time, we'll plant the hands and step back to a downward facing dog. Pedal out the knees, the feet in your downward facing dog, finding a little bit of movement. And then let's stretch out the calves while we're here. Press the left foot towards the mat. Lift the right foot just a couple inches off of the ground. And then take it to the outside of the left foot so the pinky edge side of the feet are almost touching. Now bend the left knee as much as you can as you straighten through the right leg as much as you can. And you should feel a nice deep lengthening in the back of the right leg, in the calf area. Take one more inhale here. We stay for our exhale. And at the bottom of the exhale, come back through center. And we'll take that to the other side. So this time the right foot stays grounded towards the ground. Take the left foot up just a couple inches. Plant it to the outside of the right foot. And now we start to bend the right knee, lifting the right heel as we reach that left heel down to the ground. Maybe it doesn't touch, but the energy is still reaching in that direction. And we breathe here, lengthening through the back of the left leg and the calf area. Beautiful. And then when you're ready, come back to center. And from your downward facing dog, start to take your gaze forward and slowly rock forward into a high plank. We'll take a little mini sun salutation here, dropping the belly, coming all the way down. Untuck the toes, inhale, lift up, baby cobra. And then exhale, come back to your downward facing dog. From your downward facing dog, take the hands back to the feet. Find a ragdoll forward fold. Grabbing onto opposite elbows. Letting go of tension, bending the knees generously. Just taking a breath here. And then slowly walking the hands back out to your downward facing dog. We'll do that one more time from our down dog. Take the gaze forward. Slowly roll forward into your high plank. When you arrive, lower down to the belly. Inhale, untuck the toes, cobra. Exhale, downward facing dog. Beautiful. And from your downward facing dog, take an inhale, lift the right leg up to the sky. And I want you to point the right toes this time. Make the leg nice and long and start to pulse up through the right leg for 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Lift the leg up 1 inch higher. And then as you start to bring the right knee in towards the nose, step the right foot in between the hands, coming up into a high crescent lunge. Find your breath here. And then in this high crescent lunge, press into the right toes, lift the right heel off the ground, and then lower it. Lift and lower. Lift and lower. 2 more times, lift and lower. 1 more, lift and lower. This time when you lift, hold. Sink into that right knee. Maybe you bring your hands to your hips for stability. For 5, 4, let it be shaky. 3, 2, 1. Bring the right heel down. And this time step the left foot just a little bit closer and then start to take a 90-degree bend in that left knee. And this time we'll pulse here for 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Hold nice and low for 5, 4, 3, 2, on 1. Drop the left knee, give it a rest. Take the left fingertips up to the sky. Find a nice side body stretch. Maybe you let that right arm fall down to the ground. And then while we're here, let's take a little twist, taking the left elbow to the outside of the right thigh. Hands come to prayer as you gaze past your right shoulder. Just a little moment of relief here. Feeling a nice stretch in the right outer glute. Beautiful. Take one more breath and then slowly make your way back to center. Bring the hands to the hips. Really press into the right heel here to fire up through the right glute as you lift the left knee off of the ground and come back to your crescent lunge. In your crescent lunge, take the fingertips up to the sky. And then start to hinge forward, letting the belly hover just above that right thigh. Again, you're firing up through that right glute, holding for 5, 4, 3, 2. On 1, moment of relief, straighten both of the legs and fold forward over the right leg. We'll just be here for 1 more breath before we get right back into that right leg. When you're ready, start to bend back into the right knee. This time the arms come long behind you, and eventually we're taking off into a warrior 3. Now from this warrior 3, feel free to bring your hands to heart center and just take a bend in that right knee and then straighten it back. It can be a really tiny bend, but it's strong in the leg. Bend and straighten. Bend and straighten. We go for 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2. Last one, hold the bend for 5, 4, 3, 2. On 1, take it back to a crescent lunge. Inhale, reach the fingertips up to the sky. And then on your exhale, plant the hands, step back to your high plank. Lower all the way down to the belly. Inhale, cobra. Exhale, downward facing dog. And we are ready to take that on the other side. Well, ready or not, we are taking that on the other side. Take an inhale, lift the left leg up to the sky. Point through the toes, really lift up using the muscles of the left leg. And pulse those left toes up for 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2. On 1, hold for just a breath. And then start to curl that left knee in towards the nose and step the left foot in between the hands, coming up into a high crescent lunge. Beautiful. And from this high crescent lunge, you can stay here, bring your hands to your hips for a little bit more stability. Press into the left toes as you lift the left heel. And then lower. Lift and lower. Lift and lower. Lift and lower. 2 more times, lift and lower. 1 more, lift and lower. Lift 1 more time and hold for 5, 4, 3, 2. On 1, bring the left heel back down to the ground. Walk the right foot in just a little bit closer and bend both knees to a 90-degree angle. And from here, we pulse for 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Hold for 5, 4, 3, 2, on 1. Drop the right knee. Beautiful. Take a moment of release. Lift the right fingertips up to the sky. Take a side body stretch over to the left. Let the left hand drop down. And then while we're here, we'll take this into a twist, crossing that right elbow on top of the left thigh, taking your gaze behind your left shoulder. Beautiful. One more breath here. And then on your exhale, slowly make your way back through center. Bring your hands to your hips. Really press strongly into that left heel. Fire up through the left glute and come back to a crescent lunge. And this time from your crescent lunge, fingertips up to the sky. Hinge forward and let the belly hover over the left thigh for 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Moment of release. Straighten through both of the legs. Find a long pyramid pose, folding gently over that left leg. All right, and then when you're ready, start to bend back into the left knee. Find your crescent lunge once more, but this time as you hinge forward, take the arms long behind you. Feel that left glute really fire up, and we'll eventually take off into a warrior 3. Bring your hands to heart center, and we bend the left knee and straighten the left leg. We bend and straighten. If you lose your balance, it's okay. Bend and straighten for 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2. Last one, hold the bend for 5, 4, 3, 2. On 1, take it back to a crescent lunge. Inhale, reach up. Exhale, plant the hands back to your high plank and lower all the way down to the belly. Inhale, upward facing dog or cobra. Exhale, downward facing dog. And from your down dog, take an inhale, lift the right leg up to the sky. Bend that right knee, open up through the hip. Maybe draw some little circles with the knee. Eventually taking those circles in the opposite direction. And then inhale, right leg comes back up to the sky. And take your right foot to the left wrist, setting up for a pigeon pose. So before we settle into our pigeon, we'll find a little bit of strength in the hips. Make sure the left leg is nice and long behind you. Using your core, pull the belly button into the spine. Maybe you bring your hands to your hips. Maybe you bring your hands up to the sky for 5, 4, 3, 2, on 1, slowly lower down. Take your left fist on top of your right, or vice versa. Rest your forehead on your top fist. The stretch should feel like a lot, but really nice. After all of that work that we did, especially in the glutes. Take one more breath here. Stay for both the inhale and the exhale. And then start to walk the hands back through center as you slowly make your way back to a downward facing dog. Let's take that on the other side. Inhale, lift the left leg up to the sky, bend the knee, open up through the hip. Draw some circles with the left knee. And after a few, you'll take those circles in the opposite direction. Inhale, lift the left leg back up to the sky. Exhale, bring the left foot to the right wrist, setting up for our pigeon pose, but staying lifted in our pigeon. Make sure the right leg is nice and long behind you. Again, you can bring your hands up to the sky or maybe to your hips for 5, 4, 3, 2, on 1, slowly lower down, stacking one fist on top of the other, resting your forehead on your top fist, and breathing here, using this as a chance to relieve the left hip, the right hip flexor. Anywhere there's tension, just let go. One more inhale here. We stay for our exhale, and then slowly start to make your way to a seated position, sending all of your weight into your left hip, and then taking the legs out long in front of you. And keeping that left leg nice and long, take the right knee, bend it, hug it in towards the center of the body, and then cross the right foot to the outside of the left leg. Give that right leg a nice big hug with the left hand, and take the right fingertips behind you. Feel that lengthening in the outer right hip, the outer right glute. Again, might feel like a lot, but it's a really nice release. After that work that we did, especially with those isometric holds and the pulses, take one more breath here, and then when you're ready, come back through center. Take the right leg out long in front of you. Hug the left leg in towards the chest, and then bring the left foot to the outside of the right leg. Go ahead and hug that left knee. Take the left fingertips behind you. Feel that lengthening in the outer left hip, and breathe here. And when you're ready, slowly come back to center. Take both of the legs out long in front of you. Try and keep the legs as straight as possible, just a micro bend in the knees here. Take the fingertips up to the sky, flex the toes towards the face, and start to hinge forward, keeping your spine nice and long. And then whenever you feel that you can't hinge forward any further without rounding through the spine, just keep the spine nice and long and take the hands to wherever they land. So it doesn't have to be the feet. Maybe it's beside the ankles. Maybe it's beside the knees. Just keep flexing the right toes towards the face. Feel the back of the right legs lengthen. We're holding here for 5, 4, 3, 2, on 1, slowly come back up to a seated position, and then all the way down to your back. And when you arrive here, take the right knee into the chest, give it a nice big squeeze, and then if you can, grab onto the right toe with the right peace sign fingers. As you place the left hand on the left thigh, see if you can straighten through that right leg. I didn't call for a strap here at the beginning of class, but if you have one nearby, you could always use it to make this more accessible. And then bend the right knee back into the chest, and we'll switch out the legs. Right leg long in front of you, left knee hugs into the chest. Give it a squeeze. And then again, if you can stay here, or you can take the left peace sign fingers to the left big toe, placing the right hand on top of the right thigh and straightening through that left leg. Breathing here. And then slowly bringing the left knee back into the chest, giving it one final squeeze before sending both of the legs out long in front of you. Take your arms long at your sides with the palms facing up for acceptance or down for grounding. And see if you can squeeze the shoulder blades a little bit closer together. Give yourself that support beneath you. Allow the low back to release by letting the ankles externally rotate to either side of the mat. And we'll just be here in our rest for the next couple cycles of breath. Nothing to do here, but just be. You can even let your breath go back to natural, and I'll let you know when it's time to transition. When you're ready, wiggle through the fingertips and the toes. Roll out the wrists and the ankles. Shake your head yes and no. Eventually find a full body stretch. Reach the fingertips long behind you. And from here, transition onto your side, finding the fetal position, using your left bicep or your right bicep as a pillow. And then planting the right fingertips beside you and gently coming up to a comfortable seat. And from this comfortable seat, we'll finish off our class by taking one cleansing breath together. Take your left hand to your heart and your right hand on top of your left. Close the eyes if it's comfortable. Take a big breath in and exhale, sigh it out. Thank you all so much for practicing with me. Don't forget to subscribe, like this video, comment below. Let me know what you would like to see next week or in future classes. Don't forget to follow me on Instagram at calmwithcarlin. Visit my website, www.calmwithcarlin.com, and I hope to connect with you again soon. Namaste.